and Jeffrey, they were very generous. We worked till 5 o'clock. 4:30 we started, one person at a time in the dressing room, changed to go home.
Mm-hmm.
We all did that. So he lost so much work. But he agreed to that. He never said a word. Oh, when I first came, I was afraid to do that. But after a month, I did it too.
What was his name? He was an announcer, sports announcer. Marty Glickman. Marty Glickman. Did you ever heard of Marty Glickman? He was a sport announcer.
For what?
He announced boxing,
Oh.
wrestling. He was a sport announcer in New York. His mother used to work with Grandma. Marty Glickman.
Who was that at work?
She was always fancy dressed. She had a sister. I don't know.
She was dressed to kill.
Yeah.
Her husband was a doctor.
And
Nobody knew in her neighborhood that she worked in the factory.
and her son was Marty Glickman.
Yeah. She didn't have to work.
You mean she liked it?
Huh?
Yeah.
She liked the company. And I took Mrs. Ulrich when and she stood there one day, she says, "How could you take that noise from the machines?" She says, "I can't do that." She never went back. But she didn't need. Her husband worked as an architect. They had no kids. Well, they had one son, but he was married already. And we were neighbors in Kassel. And they didn't know we were going to the United States, and we didn't know they were going, and we were leaving at the same time. Didn't we meet on the boat?
Yeah.
You believe that?
And you knew them before?
Huh?
And you knew them before?
Yeah. They were our neighbors.
They were our neighbors in Kassel.
So you didn't talk to them at all?
I didn't want.
You didn't tell them you were leaving?
No.
No, why would you tell anybody?
Why not?
When we immigrated to the United States, you don't tell people that you're immigrating to the United States.
But it was funny when we saw each other on the boat.
And we would travel
We were
second class.
second
and they were
class, and
third.
there was steerage.
Yeah.
How did we meet him? Oh, I took tours through the whole
Yeah.
boat because, each class on the boat is separate. So they were all the way down. And I went down to look what's going on there, and I saw them. Otherwise, we would have never seen them.
Yeah, we sold everything, closed the business, sold my car.
What did we do with the furniture? The people who took the apartment bought most of our furniture, yeah.
Yeah. And I sold my car. At that
Closed the stores. No, you sold the stores?
time, I closed them. I had the wholesale place that time. And I had a Mercedes-Benz in 1953. I drove a Mercedes. Nice car.
We lived like kings there, huh? I had a maid, full-time maid. Every afternoon I would go to a cafe with,
But you're driving a Mercedes now.
and
But can you imagine that is 60 years ago in Germany after the war when I drove a Mercedes. There were no cars available.
So you went from an authentic Mercedes
Yeah.
to a fake Mercedes.
Yeah.
yeah, how old was that Mercedes?
The one that I drove was 1938 or 39
And I was in 50,
to 53.
can
They
you
were making
imagine?
them
It looked like
used.
brand new.
It was a nice car.
And when Henry was born, it got ruined.
Why?
No, when Henry was born,
Sure?
I had a DKW, a DKW.
Oh,
That got ruined.
that got ruined.
Yeah, the engine
Because
froze. The engine
we
froze.
had company when I started labor
Was my birthday.
on his birthday. And everybody said, you have to go to the hospital. I said, the hospital is 2 blocks from here.
It
So
was
I waited.
freezing, it was freezing. And I didn't put a blanket over the engine. That was a DKW. And the car was sitting in front of the house, ready for her to go.
And then I said, no, I want to walk.
But yeah,
there.
she ended up walking, right?
Yeah, but by the time I got back, the engine froze.
Froze. Cost a lot of money. I walked there. I walk in. When I gave birth, immediately.
Yeah, and by the time I got home, my car, the engine
Yeah.
froze.
So then the girl who was laying in the room with me.
No. That was in Germany. That's a different story. The girl that was laying in the room with you was here in
Oh, Bettina.
yeah, that was not with Henry.
Oh, she kept saying, I hate you. I hate you.
That was with Tina.
Wasn't she there for like 2 days already?
Yeah,
She
he heard the story already.
She was a racket.
Racket.
Yeah, you're mixing up New York and Germany.
You would think with all the exercise she did, she would have an easy birth, right?
Yeah, my car in the meantime froze. I had some
Yeah.
job with my engine to get my engine.
Was a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't get parts yet.
No, the DKW, that Karl-Heinz Gleisner, he fixed it.
Yeah, I remember him. He worked for them, right?
He worked, yeah, he was a mechanic. He fixed it.
He fixed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you meet him?
I met his father. His father used to, after the war, he was selling little hot plates. Hot plates.
Really?
Yeah, when you plug it in, you were able to cook on it. And you couldn't get anything. So I used to buy him from him and give him coffee and cigarettes. He used to live by the Baberplatz, and that's how I met him. I used to buy like a half a dozen hot plates and take them to the camp, and in the camp sell them. And people in the camp where I used to live, they would buy them, plug them in, and cook on them.
This is where the ghetto?
No, that's
Oh.
after the war. That
Oh.
was in Kassel.
They're called camp because they were all the Jews who came from the east, from the concentration camp. They all got settled there. They made all the Germans move out. There was one whole section
Yeah.
of Kassel. They made them all move out and gave it all to them to have. Oh, they hated the Jews
Yeah.
even more then.
Because these people, they were waiting to immigrate from Germany to Israel, to Canada, to Australia, to the United States. So this was a displaced person camp, waiting to immigrate into other countries.
To wherever you're gonna go.
Yeah, and they used to give us food, the IRO, IRO, International Refugee Organization.
They were good.
Yeah, they used to bring in food, but they also had dry groceries, like lentils, peas, and people had to cook to make soup or whatever, so they used the hot plates, plug it in and cook on them, or make
So
a
they
cup
had
of
a big
coffee.
plate of soup, big pot of soup.
So,
And you would sell these to whoever.
right, so
Yeah.
I used to take, let's say, 3 packages of cigarettes, go to the city, buy a dozen hot plates, bring them back to the camp, and sell them in the camp for 20 mark or 30 mark, I don't remember what it was. And everybody used to buy the hot plates. And I used to get the hot plates from this guy. That's how I met his son. His son used to work in a car repair shop, a big repair shop.
So he fixed your car.
Yeah, and so after this whole thing was over, I still was friendly with the guy even after the PCAP. I used to live in the city, so when I needed the car fixed, I used to call Karl-Heinz Kleisner. And he would take my car or come and fix it in front of the house and whatever.
I met his wife too.
Yeah, yeah.
They had no kids.
Correct. Yeah, you remember.
Yeah, I remember them. But I can't picture them.
Yeah, I did a lot of things there after the war. Oop. We used to go back to Poland and buy skins. Leather,
Oh, yeah.
whole leather skins
Mhm.
from calves, very thin,
Yeah.
and bring them back into Munich. In Munich they had a lot of shoemakers because there were no shoes available.
Yeah.
They would use the skins to cut and make shoes.
To order.
To order, but there were no skins available, but skins were available in Poland.
So somebody would have to.
So we had to go to Poland across the border, buy, not too many, a half a dozen skins, and bring them back. And then drop them off in Munich, sell them there.
That was a trip to get back to Castle too.
Yeah. And then in Munich, we would buy other shit to bring to Kassel for the money that we got in Munich
Yeah.
for the skins. We used to buy in Munich other stuff and
What you couldn't get in
in
Castle.
Kassel, then go on the train and go home.
That was before we opened the stores.
Oh yeah, much before when I was in the camp. And then when the camp dissolved slowly, we were the last ones out. Whew, there was nobody there left, just us little people. So I went to school, learned coffee, how to roast coffee. Where does coffee come from? Coffee beans.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of coffee beans.
Now tell them how in Germany the law is so much better.
Yeah, well,
Nobody can just open a business.
you can't open a business. Every business that you want to open, you need a license.
And you have to
In order
show.
to get the license, you have to be proficient in the item that you're opening or trying to sell. You have to be
So they're very strict.
You have to be able to tell a customer that wants to buy the origin of the item, how it's made, and what the different ramifications are, and all that. So after the war in 1945-46, when the war ended, Germany was flattened. There was nothing there. And anybody that wanted a license to open a business, the refugees, or I was born in Germany, as a Jew born in Germany, I had preference to get any type of license that I wanted. Preference before anybody else. And you couldn't get coffee. And the German people, for a cup of coffee, they're going to kill. For real coffee. So, yes, you could get coffee import, the coffee beans from outside Germany. You have to pay custom duty to bring them in. But to sell them, you need a license. And in order to sell them, you also have to roast them. Coffee is green beans. And in order to see like the coffee that you have here, you have to roast the coffee to make them dark.
Here is a store here when we go to
Yeah,
my
by the dentist.
by the dentist.
Yeah, right on the corner there.
Right next.
Yeah.
There's a
Here's
roasting
a machine,
place.
a
Yeah.
roasting machine.
Yeah.
So I had to go to school to learn all different coffee beans, the origin, where they come from, what they look like, so you can look and say,
Yeah.
Different shapes.
that's a Java, that's a Colombia, that's a Colombia Blue, that's a Costa Rica coffee, that's a Maracaibo, Kenya A, Kenya B. You have to know the difference and what they taste like, and then how to mix them.
And this
Get
is
the
so
taste.
you can sell them.
Right. So then after I got the license that I can open up a store. I had to import the coffee through Hamburg. And we got one sack. So we got 3 different sacks of coffee. 3 different, Santos, Colombia, Colombia Blue, and Costa Rica. And you mix 20% of this, 30%, and you roast them. So I had a guy that had a roasting machine. I used to go there, roast the coffee. I rented a store, got the equipment, and opened up the store. Big sign, coffee store opening up.
No, fine cost.
Fine cost.
In other words,
Yeah.
coffee, tea, chocolate, that's one store.
Yes. So anyway, in the morning, 8 o'clock, the lines formed around the store in the street. I sold 1/8 of a pound per customer. 1/8 of a pound in a little bag. And I had 3 kinds of coffee, that's it.
Yeah.
And whatever you wanted, you got 1/8 of a pound, and the people were
But then you
standing
had
around.
chocolate,
Yeah.
tea,
Yeah,
then you took in a lot more stuff.
and then I
Oh,
opened up another
delicatessen.
store. I had 2 stores. I did a lot of things. But everything that you do there, you need a license.
Yeah.
I
Even he
imported
was selling nylon.
nylons, stockings. I had to go and learn between the nylon.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 51 gauge or
Yeah.
60 gauge. 15 denier, 30 denier, 45 denier, that's the thickness. How they made, what's the difference between nylon and Perlon? So before they give you a license, you have to know what you're selling. So when you go to a store, was a wholesaler. When I went to a store to sell them the nylons, I had to explain to the proprietor, this is 5115 and this is made, but that's the thinnest one there is.
Yeah.
Why? Because of this and this and this. Now, they in turn had to teach their
That sales
people, the sales girls. So when the customer walked into the store,
So they knew what they were
they
talking
knew
about.
what they were selling. It's not like here, you open up a wrestling company, you get a few
Oh no,
guys
yeah,
to
oh,
wrestle.
everybody
Hey
had to,
now, wait a minute.
no, everybody had to go to school there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when they were learning and had school 2 days a week, and the rest they worked in this, they got paid very, very little. They got cheap labor.
I had a sales girl, Bastian, her name was Bastian, Elizabeth Bastian, an ugly bitch with long hair, and, but hey, she was learning. She was learning the business, and she was going to school.
And who was in the other store when you opened the other store?
That was Krusty's wife. And
Who?
Krusty.
Kresge's wife was working there?
Yes.
See, I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And
Didn't she open a business herself later on?
She later bought the business. She bought the business.
Oh, she bought your business?
Yes, she
I
bought the
see.
business. And she also hired a sales girl. Yeah,
So why did you sell it then?
because after a while, so many more coffee stores opened up in the city. So I had a lot of competition. So it was no longer a business where
Big
in the
profit
morning-
anymore.
where in the morning there was a line like a mile long.
Yeah.
Since there were so many other stores that opened, the competition, the business just dwindled. So I went into the wholesale import business and I got rid of the
Nylon.
stores. Yeah. Nylon, scarves,
scarves.
underwear for kids, and all kinds of other junk.
And that's how we got to know all the sailors people, the owners from the big stores from the city. Yeah, but he used to go and sell them. I used to go to any of the big stores, buy and say charge it to my husband. That's it. That's how well known he was. Every afternoon I would go with Henry to a cafe. We would sit there for an hour.
So when we left Germany, I didn't tell anybody that we're leaving. Didn't
No,
tell
that's
them.
how we met the people on the boat. They lived right in our complex.
That's crazy that you didn't even tell. Nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Only Gallinari.
That was it?
Yeah. And the people in our building, they knew, right?
Yeah, they knew.
Nobody asked?
Not all
where-
of them. The people here who live on top in the attic, I don't even know those people.
And when we got on the ship, our visa expired,
Yeah,
you know, to get into the United States.
Yeah.
we waited the last minute.
Yeah,
Oh.
because we were on the SS America, they consider it American territory. It was a United States ship.
So
on
we
the
were
US
in the
flag.
United States.
So you almost didn't even get over here.
It didn't even.
You shouldn't have been able to come over.
If I was on a foreign ship, they wouldn't have let me in. My visa expired. Because I was on the U.S. ship, I was on U.S. territory.
Oh.
So that's it. My visa was okay.
How much did it cost us to move from Germany? Because,
I
yeah,
don't-
big boxes.
I don't remember. But
Because all my good china,
There's a lot
all my
of-
linens we brought, and everything what's in here we brought.
it was a lot of money.
There was a man who came and wrapped everything, and a duty officer was in the apartment, watched what we took out.
Custom officer.
Yeah.
How much did we pay for shipping that
I-
book? 3 big boxes.
I don't remember.
The size of, like the television or down, no, half of the television to the floor and wider.
Yeah, big box.
3 boxes like that.
Crates, wooden crates.
Oh.
Wooden crates.
So they don't break on the boat.
And they were really square boxes.
Yeah. That was an undertaking to go into a country where you don't speak the language, you don't know nobody.
But I wanted to leave. And you know what decided me? In one day, I was with Henry walking. And the kids followed me, and they knew me. They were from my parents' neighborhood. And they said, "The 2, baby." I said, "I don't want to raise them here." That's the day when I said, start getting papers to leave. He didn't want to go.
How come?
Otherwise I would have never
You
gone.
had a good life there.
Because we had an easy, good life. We lived in an apartment in the best section of the town. And the rent wasn't even that high.
No.
Oh, that was
Because it
all.
was rent control.
But that was all controlled from the war.
Rent
yeah,
control.
Yeah. And when you moved, somebody else was entitled to that apartment then. So when we moved where Kalinari was in that building, oh no, we rented.
When we moved, somebody wanted or was in line for our apartment. And if they move, their apartment will become empty. So your sister
My sister took the people's apartment.
and they took our apartment. There was like a switch, a triple switch.
That's how hard it was to get apartments. Everything was bombed out. Kalinari, she had it. First we rented one room by Mrs. Kalinari and paid whole rent from the apartment for the one room.
How come?
We couldn't get any place to live.
Oh, so they just jacked the
And
rent.
I didn't want to live with my parents. And we used to go every weekend to my mother and father.
We
But-
paid for one room, the rent,
For her whole
for
apartment.
the entire apartment. What she paid for the whole apartment, we paid for the one room.
So what did she do when we moved out?
Nothing.
Well, she couldn't afford it without our rent.
She didn't rent
So
it.
she had to rent it again.
No, she didn't rent it.
So how did she manage?
I have no idea, but she didn't rent it. She didn't have other tenants after we moved out.
When I was cooking on a
On a hot plate,
hot plate,
double hot plate.
she wouldn't even give me permission to use kitchen.
You didn't buy that hot plate, did you?
Oh, yeah.
From years before?
No, double hot plate. Yeah, well,
But Peter was a nice person, her husband. We brought him over and he didn't live long, he died soon. But she loved it here. First of all, she spoke fluent English. She came from a very educated family. And they never forgave her that she married that Peter. But
she spoke French.
she was a mistress of a doctor, mistress. And he always said he had a sick wife, and he said, when my wife dies, I'm going to marry you. So and she waited and waited, and she didn't die. And then how she met Peter, I don't know.
He was a prisoner.
Well, he was held a prisoner during the war, yes.
And she.
And that's why he was in Germany.
Yeah, and
But how she met him, I don't know.
In the
During the
Schreber
war,
garden.
they would throw
in the Schreber
food.
garden, in the garden, they would give him
They would
food.
throw food to the prisoners. And when the war was over, he came to thank them.
Oh.
And that's how she met him, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have a
Should you drink?
No. I'm gonna have a rice pudding. Rice pudding.
What time is it?
12:30.
I'm getting hungry too.
What do you want to eat?
Not rice pudding, I eat you. Jeffrey, what do you